Good afternoon to everyone. Dr. Mack?
Good afternoon, Pastor Shirley.
Yes.
All is well. How are you?
I'm doing wonderfully well. Just thankful, thankful, thankful for another Friday and another Mother's Board. And so I'm going to give it over to you for our prayer.
All right. Dear Father, we thank you for this day and we thank you for the many blessings that you have bestowed upon us. We ask that you guide us in wisdom and that we all get an understanding of what is going forth today. We ask that we not be negative or prejudiced, but that we just plant seeds of wisdom and we wish for them to flourish in the manner that will be good for all. Um, Help us, Lord, to see around what we think we see, to know and understand what we think we really should know. Guide us with your principles of love, understanding, forgiveness, and reconciliation. These are the many blessings we ask in your name. Amen.
Amen. Wonderful. It's such a great privilege to be here again with you, Dr. Mack. I am just so happy. We have another great day of the Mother's Board Inc. And we have some great topics. You always send in some wonderful topic suggestions, and I am just so grateful for that. And then I have my some that I have also added. So
Yes,
then
yes,
then we
excellent.
have a contribution. I got a message from one of my classmates, my Denison High School classmates, and he sent an article to me, and I'm going to share that article at the end of our webcast today.
Okay, that is
Right.
good to know someone is listening it to us.
Uh-huh. And it came from uh, the Texas Reporter, and then
Hmm,
Mike sent it to me.
good,
Hmm.
good. Shall we start with yours today? I loved your first one about um, the muskrat.
Okay, we will start with this. And
Okay.
do you think Elon Musk has as much influence with Trump and his followers now as he did before the present political climate? Do you think the general American public has confidence in anything he says? I don't think he doesn't have. He's probably lost a big percentage of the people's confidence overall, general American, and because of how his role in the present political situation we have. So overall, the general public, I know many have lost confidence in him, and as far as him with because we know that they have announced that his time as a part-time, or what is it, temporary governor,
Advisor.
it
Yeah,
has ended. So he's ended that. But then he has other problems because of the role he played in this present administration. He destroyed many people's lives, unsettled their lives and everything. So do I think that he has as much influence with Trump? Well, as much as might be needed at the time if he ever needs him again. But I think that how many millions was it, $300 million he spent to get
yes,
that guy in office?
yes.
So I think he still is going to have something to do with that administration because Musk has the goods on Trump. So he can't afford to let him completely go away. So I think he has some influence on him, and I think he has quite a lot of influence. He just won't be seen by what it per the agreement that they had around in the government as much as he was, but he'll still have his hand somewhere in the till. I
I
believe
agree.
that.
I agree.
Mhm.
And I noticed when he came on board, it was a public announcement, and they're having what they call a farewell luncheon or dinner, whatever. today as he leaves. But I agree with you wholeheartedly. He made a major campaign donation. He allowed himself to be the one who would take the blame for the Doge cuts. Um, he may not have achieved what he wanted to achieve, but he did do some things, whether they were pleasant or unpleasant. But I do know that there are repercussions to what, when I say, the persons go home, the elected officials go home, but they still have to answer questions regarding the actions that he took. And then
Yes.
there are those who don't, who are elected persons, appointed cabinet members who are still wondering exactly where that power is. But I think, even though he said yesterday that he didn't agree with everything, I think he still will have a lot of influence with the president. I
Yes.
don't think he wants to be referred to as the co-president, and I don't think the president wants him to be referred to as the co-president. But that influential pack, they are so much alike. They have so much in common. So it's going to be there. And I think you'll have to bring him back at some point. But it's been a high cost for Mr. Musk, for his personal industry,
Mhm.
for his business. His SpaceX missiles, came back down too early. Was it Thursday? So I know he has to get back to handle some of the things that he needs to handle. As far as even settling his family you know,
Yes.
into their home in near Austin. But I agree with you. That was a great question. His influence is going to be there. It just won't be in your face kind of thing.
Right. And he has still probably about $290 million of time left.
If you're going to put a price tag on it,
Yes, ma'am.
I think
Yes, ma'am.
it's,
That
I
was
think
I.
it's priceless. It's priceless. I don't think we can go past that because I was surprised to see when he was in Qatar. That here he was. He was on. I don't know whose plane he came on, but he brought him with him. I think he's still going to be the power behind the throne.
Uh,
I do.
yes, ma'am. He still got. They still have to pay him that money back.
In
200.
kind.
So I believe I believe he's done about 10 million, could be 15, 20 million. So they owe him quite a lot of payback. So anyway, but I think I really I regret that he got mixed up in this because it did his reputation more harm than good. I really believe. But anyway, he's going to be here for a while.
Yeah. I
He's going
think
to.
that I think that the time in the spotlight, with that ultimate power, I think it started changed him. And I'm not sure he wants that much of it anymore. But
Exactly. Yeah.
he does love that power.
Yes, and it like really backfired on him.
Yeah, it
It
did.
really, because people were just really, really, really excited about him in the beginning, and as the time went on, and then as he executed all these cuts and things and did all that damage, then if you will notice, whenever he went somewhere, you didn't hear all the cheers and the
No, no.
roaring and all of that. Even I remember that time he went up there trying to get the Republican, was it a judge, a senator,
Oh,
that he paid
elected.
$2 million, $1 million to two people.
Right.
And they didn't seem so excited. Now they want that money, but they didn't seem so excited about seeing him.
Mm.
So I think it did his reputation quite a lot of harm. But hey, if you have $3 million to give, just give 300 million to give out, and you got so many more millions, I guess maybe you can cope with it. Huh?
You could cope with a measly loss of a few dollars, and
Yeah,
my camera just disconnected.
you're
But
here. You're still
okay,
here. I see you. So unless
but
it's a few seconds behind.
yeah, it could be that. But
Okay.
um, I agree. Sometimes you get what you want and you lose what you have. Those are the immortal words of Aretha Franklin in
Uh-huh.
the off the album of Spirit in the Dark.
Mm-hmm.
You got what you wanted and you lost what you had.
Lost
I
what you
think
had.
that applies to him. He wanted the adoration, he wanted the power,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a price to pay for that.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
think this is the first time he's had to pay that price.
And he'll be paying it for the rest of his life. But my heart turned a little on the sympathetic side for him. It really did, because it has. Because I guess it's just that love that I have for people. I don't like to see people messed up. And
Yes,
so he's a lot of damage has been done to his reputation. He's got some
yes,
recovering to do. And then his space vehicle yesterday, he
I know.
said, that at least they made some progress. So
Yes.
now they can take those problems, whatever happened, was it yesterday or day before,
Day before.
and then they can build on those and build up for the next time, because he sounds determined, and I believe he's going to get it there, wherever he's got it aimed to go. But I won't be on there.
No, no, no,
Okay,
neither will
that
I.
that was great, Dr. Mack. So you ready for the next one? Do you have them before you? You want me to continue to read them?
If you continue to read them, go right down to the next one under
Okay,
that.
in your opinion, has the value of the presidential pardon been enhanced or lowered with release of the two reality stars from prison on yesterday, which was the day before, right?
Right,
Which
right.
was what is today? Friday.
Today, Friday.
So it was Wednesday, maybe, or Tuesday, or
I think it
whenever.
was Tuesday.
We
But
understand, but
yeah,
yes, go
please.
right ahead on that one, Dr. Matt.
Well, we're talking about the Christies. I think it's Julie and whatever the dad's name was. What was the dad's name? It just escaped
Uh,
me.
I forgot.
Anyway, I have a problem with that. You know, I don't have a problem with pardons or commutations, but look who you're releasing. Look who he pardoned and whose sentences he commuted. He didn't get Joe Blow on the street. He got someone who's in there for federal crime, and reality show star. And what you have is the and I've completely lost you too. I hope you're still on. Um, reality stars and the other type people were political persons, a sheriff, um, a congressman. Look at the type of persons he released. I'm not saying just because they were who they are that they didn't need that. I'm simply saying it's almost like you can buy a partner. You have to have. Here we have Kanye West going out for a rapper. You know, we have Kanye West. Come on now, and then we have. I mean, they're not the best type of people, but as my great granny would say, you're known by the company you keep.
Oh, oh, yeah.
And those guys have money. I mean, they're coming out of prison with money. White collar crimes or not, they're coming out with money. But all of them there was just no normal person in that at all. And I think
Right.
you're demeaning our system. I think he's demeaning it.
Well, of course. Well, just remember the first thing he did, I believe, was the first thing he did was pardon and let all of those criminals out of jail that had gone up there and taken over the Capitol, had caused
January
deaths
6th.
of people, and all of that. And that was the first set, wasn't it? The first ones he pardoned, or maybe
Yeah.
that whole group of people who had been indicted, and some were in prison. He let all of them out. And then also, coming back to these two reality stars that where they went from bank to bank, uh, swindling money out of these banks. So, and then also what happened is that they say that when he had this fundraiser, and he said it was private, but then there is a video that shows he has that presidential seal there while he is in that fundraiser, which is supposed to be private.
Wow.
Yeah, they have a picture of that.
Oh
That
no, I'm just. Come on, that you.
yeah, and
you
then the thing is that their daughter went
yes.
to this $1 million per person fundraiser. After that, her parents were let out of prison. Everything, they don't have to pay any fines, they don't have to
No.
pay any restitution, they don't have to do anything. Everything is clear. Then remember the mother of someone was the mother that went to the fundraiser, that $1 million fundraiser per person, and then it was either her or whoever was related to her, they were
Uh-huh.
pardoned too.
Yeah, well, well, you have a record. It's almost, I understand that, like Kim Kardashian and all these people, he likes to hang out with the rich and the famous, as it used to be called. He wants that kind of comradeship. Um, so he doesn't mind giving that kind of pardon because later he can call back. You know, it's the whole thing is so full of graft. You know what I'm saying? That's not the way it works. And what bothers me is that, we get down here in Texas, we had in front of the legislature, we had this issue with the bail bond. Just because you can't pay bail bond, you got to sit in jail. What is that accomplishing other than, what do they call it? Three hots and a cot? But these folks ain't got money. So they ain't got money to raise the bill, they ain't got money to get a lawyer. But the other folks who have the money, like you said, the Christies are gonna have what they had. Probably may be better off. They'll write a book or something, make a movie, a documentary or something.
And they might go back to their Chris, what is that, Chrisley's, whatever their show
I
was.
remember it.
They might even get another contract and do that. And really, you don't have to have a contract. All you have to do is start online and like, and hey,
Yeah.
because people are interested in what they have to say anyway. But the pardon is really, to this person, it's just favoritism. You do for
Yes.
me and I'm going to do for
I like
you, no
that.
matter what the other people think, no matter what the law thinks or whatever. I'm going to do this and forget everything anybody else is thinking, whether they like it or not. And so that's what's being done. It's what's being done. But people, I don't want anybody to ever forget the fact that whatever wrong is done, and so, I know God is our judge, everybody's judge, and so however God sees this that's going on, if it's wrong, there is a debt to be paid, and that's for any of us. And so there's so much going on and so many people being neglected, like you were saying. If you have the money to buy your way out of jail, you can buy your way out of jail, but there's so many innocent people in jail that don't have money, that have been in there for decades. They don't matter to that person. If you have the money, okay. If I like you, if you
Yeah.
say the right thing, if you look the right way.
Or someone whom I would like to impress is interested in your case. Now, what
Yes,
they did, I did hear those. Well, Biden pardoned thousands of people at the last. Well, usually the presidents don't even do those kinds of pardons in mass. That a double digit until the end. But I
right.
understand why Biden had to do that. He was trying to cover those persons that he believed would become targets. You know,
Exactly. And I'm
yeah,
glad
and even
he did
his
the
own
right thing.
family.
Hmm. He did the right thing. And so, but he's this guy is setting a precedence.
Oh
But
Lord.
hey, when the next person comes along, we'll see what's going to go, because it won't be many days hence that someone else will be there, and we'll see what they're thinking. But no, the pardon, it means nothing like it used to.
Right. I
Nothing like
agree.
it used to,
I
because
agree.
usually when people were innocent of crimes, you know, that's when the pardon came in. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
So anyway, we know how they are. They're gonna do
Okay.
what they want to do when they want to do it and how they want to do it, and forget what you say. So, are we fit? Are we
Yes,
okay?
yes.
If
We
you
agree.
if you had a chance to look at some of the laws that were passed by the Texas legislature this session, name some of the ones you agree with and some of them you definitely disagree with, if any. I totally agree with the law. And did they, I think they passed it where this no what is it, you can't talk about the injustice that's been done to you. Now you know I
Oh,
know.
the non-disclosure agreement.
Yes,
Mhm.
that. I like that. And then of course there was one we were talking about the other day that I agreed with whole, oh, about not letting foreign people countries
By
come
land.
in and buy the land up, which
And
is
it,
probably already almost bought up anyway. But
well,
anyway,
but they have China. The persons from China own a great deal of land, and
hmm
you remember where they're trying to build their own little community up there, up north. I call it up north of the Trinity. And the people they don't have it. They haven't even started, but they want to stop them because they're Muslims, and
right,
okay, so they didn't know these people own that large tract of land. So when you find things out that go and you go, oh, you have to understand that's just the way it works. But if I had one, and I apologize for the phone,
oh, that's
if
fine.
I had one that I could, well, first of all, I have a question on one, and that is the one that I'm not sure he's going to sign. The governor's going to sign the one about no phones in the classroom. Not just collecting them, but keeping them all day when the kids are at school.
hmm
I'm, I'm, I understand that some ugly things come out of it. Kids bully and do all that, but I also think about the shootings that occur.
yes,
If the child has a phone, call mama, call grandmother, call
hmm
big auntie, call somebody to
hmm
help. But I know how distracted they can be. I
hmm
do. I mean, they don't hear a word you say. They're texting when they walk in, and they text the whole time.
hmm
But that one is going to get to the governor's desk. It's going to be up to him to sign it.
hmm
The other one that I was sort of think twice about is that I like the way the VFWs and the other veteran organizations are saying, okay, I don't care that this PHC passed through both houses. We're telling you that we need this. Look
hmm
at the number of people you're going to put out of a job. Look at the pain that we can have without chemical infusion. There's just some things we need to think about. You
hmm
know, and you had a question on there, and I don't want to skip all the way to it. We're having this growth, but we're also suffering from the lack of water for these new communities that you're building. Where will the water come from? Where will the utilities come from? You know, I know everybody wants to say we're the number one growth country, state in the country, and this somebody has to pay the price for that. You know, I don't particularly want Adams to increase my gas bill, and I
right.
definitely don't see my water go up, and I like the quality of my water. But I know they did that. I do appreciate the tax exempt homestead exemption tax. I do,
hmm
but this is the first time I actually kept up with them, because I'm like, okay, wait, what you're doing affects me in the
Right,
long run. You affect me.
right, right. And so those, there are several. I haven't gone to the list of them because there are so many. I
Yeah,
think what is it, like 1,200? It could be more than
yeah.
that. So
And
I'm
they're
going to
not
go to that
all,
list. So we'll probably be talking about those for a while.
yes, yeah.
So, so the chief administrator at the White House has mentioned American bad actors could be sent out of the country to Google's
Gulag.
type prisons, as well as opening up Alcatraz for
Yes.
holding. So, why do you think he is obsessed with imprisonments for some persons who are incarcerated?
I don't know. What do you think?
Well, it's that power. And then I thought, and I'm also thinking, you're so bent on sending people to prison,
He is obsessed.
get incarcerating them. They're the bad people and all of that. But what about you? 34, you're a known felon, and you are constantly berating people when you're in the same class. He's in the same class as these people he's trying to get out of the country. So it's something. All this stuff is going to turn around. Be ready when it comes.
Well, we don't in America. We haven't done gulags. Gulags are, it's like it's a Russian kind of situation where they put you out in Siberia. They put you away from civilization. You and the rest of the people like you, bad folks, and you just sort of forgotten. Well, when he just mentioned of Alcatraz, it's like, okay, are you serious? But then I thought about you were supposed to be addressing the cadets at West Point, and you're talking about Al Capone. Come on.
Because that's what he admires him, doesn't he?
Yes, yes. But we're talking about Alcatraz, which is an island, which basically uh,
Exactly.
it's a tourist thing now. But you'd have to do a lot of work to put it back together.
Right.
But again, I think it's fear. You do all this stuff, and at some point, just as you said, it's gonna wash itself out. But sending prisoners who do say stuff against who decides what's treasonous? We're talking about sending them to Africa. Making deals with these other countries where you don't even want American citizens to visit, but you
Hmm.
want to put them in prison. You know, Gone but not forgotten. But then, you sort of reap what you sow.
Right.
I think the R&B lyric was further on up the road. You're going to reap what you sow. I'm not sure why he does this, but he does spend a lot of time worrying about the base. And I know it's the red meat for the base. They want to feel safe. They don't want the people from other countries to come in and assault the wives. But
Hmm.
they don't say anything about the Americans who assault the migrant women and all this other stuff that comes in here. But it's the we just got to do better. He
And
got to do
and then when they send them to other countries, whichever, however, they leave babies over there and they assault the women over there and do
right.
all kinds of terrible things. And then,
They
and
don't say
I've
nothing.
seen reports of these babies that are left by these people who have been sent over there from America, who supposed to have been helping the people, and then they just leave these babies. They get the babies by the women, and then they have orphans for some of these children. I know they did.
Yeah, well, I think the Vietnamese, the Amurasian children, they could spot the black ones, but then there were so many who were not black, you know. I'm not discounting the number of soldiers who have gotten their Amurasian children here,
Hmm.
but we're talking about sending them, you know, but just let's just be fair to everybody.
Well, we never have been fair.
We're
In
working
the
on it, Pastor.
story of this country, it's never been any
I
fairness,
know.
never been any equality or anything like that. I totally understand, and we want that. We want that. People cry and pray for it every day. But people are righteous in their own eyes.
Right.
Yes,
Now
ma'am.
that's one to remember. People are righteous in
In
their
their
own.
own eyes. And
And I think
everything that
that's
I do is good, and anything that you do that I don't like is bad.
is bad. And
Yes.
that's where we are. We're
Yes,
living
ma'am.
that. We're living that right now.
Yes, ma'am. That's wonderful. So, in this present political climate, if you had a chance to, or if you had planned to go to another country on a vacation, would you go now?
No,
Why or why
because
not?
we're not well liked anywhere. And not because of the average American, and but we can do some stupid and wicked things too. But the head of our nation has done things and continues to do things um, that would cause us to be penalized for
Yeah,
his behavior. I
exactly.
I cringed a little. I'm not a fan of King Charles, but to have this old guy who is really dying of cancer come to Canada to just say we still love you and there's no way that we're going to let you become the 51st state of the United.
Hmm.
He shouldn't have had to do that, but he did. You
Hmm.
know, now I don't want to step off into you should make up with Harry and let him do some stuff because you're being wrong too. But for him to have to do that, that says an awful lot. You
Yeah,
know, we are the ugly Americans. We are the ones who are being very, very wicked, as you would say.
right.
We're the infidels at the moment.
And people have thought it for years, but they haven't been brave enough to tell it. So now they can see it because the mask is totally gone now because we have someone who doesn't care about anybody but him and his. And so he said this, and the people are afraid. They are leery of what he might do because they've seen how the Congress, and the Senate, the judicial system, they're letting the guy get away with just about anything. And so they don't know when one day they might wake up and there'll
Right?
be all these soldiers in their country. And I saw on the news, they play it over and over, especially on what is Spectrum, where this Canadian man said that he had planned to come over here. He and another man had planned their vacation to come over here, but they are definitely not coming now.
Oh, I have a friend the whole family takes a vacation every year. You
Hmm.
know, they rent the house and all that, and they were going to New York. Well, they're still going to New York, but they're
Hmm.
going to not go to Canada. And she said, "Do you think we're being silly? We may get over there and can't get back." And I understood what she said because she said we just want to cross the border, maybe spend the night. Well, as a family, we did that. My grandfather had never been out of the country and he was 80 something years old. So we went to Canada. We drove across Canada, and back through Niagara Falls and all that.
Hmm.
But I wouldn't do that now for anything because I don't know when I could, don't know if you could get back or I wouldn't know if he had declared war, because that's how unstable things are. And
Right,
those are not his powers.
right,
And like you said, the other branches are not saying stop. Well, the judicial branch is saying stop.
right. And so the Lord judges are now, because they're stopping this tariff stuff, and they're fighting. That administration is fighting against that. But my thing is, like you're saying, going over there to another country, another continent, or whatever. My thing is that I would be leery of the fact that I could come back to the border and America refuses my return.
Right.
We don't know. We don't know. Like you're saying, we don't know what might come up. And even
So,
though we're Americans, have been Americans all of our lives, and we
boy,
get to the border and they say, "Well, you can't come in.
yeah,
Doesn't matter about your citizenship."
yeah.
And we don't know if it might happen.
Well, it's true. And we're getting things said and done. The taco acronym that Wall Street started, which I'm not big on those stereotypical things, you know, but that's the name they've given our chief administrator, the nickname they've given him. You just, this is a praying time, as they would say. We just have to keep praying that things are going to get better because we have to have faith that they will. We have to believe that they will.
Mm-hmm. Yep. We'll keep believing and we'll do our part as good people, not just good citizens, but being the kind of people that we're supposed to be and keeping ourselves together and praying, petitioning God that He will protect us and it's going to be taken care of. Okay. So I believe that. So within the last 5 days, what actions uh, do you remember that were completed by the vice president? Do you believe that he is happy in his role as second person in charge of the nation?
Pastor Shirley.
Of course, they're never satisfied because I would not be surprised that as soon as this administration ends, his flag is going to be out there running for president.
You think so?
I believe so. If he can get the support and the people to back him, I believe it. Yes, ma'am. I don't think he's
Well,
satisfied.
oh, I don't think he's satisfied at all. I
Mm-mm.
don't think this is what he thought he was getting into. But he did meet with the Pope, Pope Leo 14. He did do some graduations for some universities and the like. He did speak out for the president on that botched dinner they had. The crypto people who gave all the money, and most of them are criminals, which is amazing. You know what I'm saying? This is a vice president, but he is unlike the former vice president. He is he says what he says that sounds like he's supporting, but you can almost see up to a point, you know, because I know he knows that what's happening is not right. First of all, he's a Harvard man, so let's assume he knows that. And two, he's supposedly a religious man, but this man talks about people that would make him cringe. You know, his wife is an Indian from India, kind of. And I don't think she lived there, but her mom did. I don't think he's happy, but I don't think he'll come out against him. I
Oh
don't.
no, he knows better than that. But he's building his own silent
You think so?
support system. I believe that. And then and many times, in order to get to where you want to be, sometimes you have to get your foot in the door. And sometimes you get your foot in the door, then you get open the door and come on in. And some things you can get accomplished by just making that effort to get in there, and then you can work some things in there. So with his ideas and the things that happened before, we can all change, because I know I've changed in my life. All of us have changed and we've done some things, and now we're better people by the grace of God.
Oh
So
yeah.
people can change, but I think I just don't know, because he can't say much, as I think, as you were
Right.
saying. He has to be very, very careful. He has to pick his words, pick his conversation. He has to even watch every expression on his face. But hey, I don't think he's satisfied being the vice president. But in order to get your foot in the door, he got his foot in the door. So we'll see where it goes. But hopefully, he doesn't get to be president.
Yeah. That I agree. I was watching Vice President Pence, and I believe it was Meet the Press, and the relationship he was describing the relationship that he has with his former boss. So
Hmm.
basically, he just keeps his distance
Hmm.
because I mean he did everything. The former boss has done everything he can to destroy and to diminish Pence
Hmm.
as president because you wouldn't do that one last thing that I told you to do, but it says he knew it was wrong and he
Mhm.
didn't. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we're going to see where it's going to take us. But one thing I feel safe in saying, and I'm confident in saying, is that we will be all right. We
Every
will be all right. God has us protected, and we will be all right. We're under His wings. So, what they do, we've those of us who have repented, we've gotten all that old stuff off of us, and we can go ahead and we can have compassion for the people, but not partake of the evil things that are going on in this world.
do.
Because he said, don't conform, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And so that's what we have done. And so that's why we can have compassion for these people. If you've noticed, I'm pretty sure that I haven't been so hard on them lately
Yes, I did.
because I'm getting more compassionate towards them because there is um uh, and it's an evil in the air. It's a spirit. And this spirit had to come at this time. And so we have been warned about this spirit that's in the atmosphere so that we could be aware of it and be on guard and not be a part of it and not let that spirit infiltrate and get into us. And so we were forewarned many, many years ago about what's happening now. And it too will pass. It too will pass. Yes, ma'am. So what was your reaction to the announcement? And so I don't when you send your topics in, I don't read them until after I
I
send mine.
know. I
I
know.
said, and I looked at this because you said we'd be thinking alike.
Well, yeah, we do a lot
And
of
so
times.
this is yours. What was your reaction to the announcement of the construction of the Dallas Wings basketball practice complex in West Oak Cliff?
Now read yours because it's almost identical.
Yes, let me get back to it. Let's see here.
I smiled
Okay.
this morning. I did. I smiled.
Let me get it here. Okay, mine is. Oh, wait a minute. Let me get back up here because I didn't number mine to keep them. Okay. A plan has been finalized and passed to build a practice facility for the Dallas Wings. Do you think it'll be an asset or liability? They plan to build it in Oak Cliff. The cost is projected to be at least $5 million. Okay, so uh you want me to go ahead and say something?
Yeah, yes, please.
Okay, it's good because they said, but I think it's a waste of money. If you're going to build them a practice center, why not just go ahead and build the complex so they can play and practice at the same place? Now, that's my thinking. I know they say they're going to be down there at the convention center, the K. Bailey Hutchins, down in that
The,
area. So
the
they
newly renovated. The
right,
newly
newly
renovated.
renovated, and then they are behind a year on that. And then so they're spending that money for them because they have these multi-year contract. Then they're spending this money to build a practice facility. And then, but the thing that got me was that, and in my good mind, is that they're building it and it will include activity centers for the young people.
Yes.
So
Uh,
that I said, okay, then, all right,
and
then.
and it will bring persons who have this idea of Oak Cliff. It will bring them to the area to see that, especially out there where they're talking about putting it. You've got the beautiful mountain hills, etc., and the lake not too far away. Mountain Creek Lake is not too far away. You'll be able to see this area. Sometimes when you actually see what you're afraid of, it's not such a monster. Now, granted,
Exactly.
sometimes it is, but most of the time it isn't. And you'll
Right.
just find people over here in West Oak Cliff who just want to live and get by and go picnic at the lake, go over to Dallas University, go to the Potter's House, wherever, whatever spectrum, get on the interstate. You can go anywhere you want. You
Right.
have you have a mixture of interstates that'll take you anywhere in the state.
Yes.
in that area. But it'll also bring some construction jobs. It'll bring some cater, people have to eat while they're building. Hopefully there'll be restaurants that'll build around that. That section of the city needs that growth.
And you're
And and they're building anyway. There are plans to build over there by what was a naval base that hadn't happened yet,
mhm,
but there are plans to do that. This is going to open up a different corridor in the city.
yes, it's
I
going to
was
be great
glad,
too.
yeah, I was glad to hear him, say
Right.
that. And I'm
Right.
hoping the Wings can win a game. That would
Uh-huh.
help a lot. That would help a lot.
Here's one more, then we're gonna close out. This is a session of graduations.
Oh
What
yeah.
is what is one thing that you would share with seniors leaving a faith-based high school and later a faith-based college? Well, I would say to them, first of all, if you're in a faith based and if it's based on your belief in God, Jesus
Mhm.
Christ, and the Holy Ghost, then make sure that that is in you while you're there. And then remember that when you go out into the world, you still have that love that's inside you of God to spread to other people and to be encouraged. And you should know by your faith, if your education, if your life is based on faith, then you can spread that to the world when you come out. So don't ever forget your faith, whether you're in high school or in college, whichever it is. Just remember, if it's faith based, make sure it's based on the Lord Jesus Christ. And that's what I say. Just hold on to your faith and do the things that are right toward mankind, and that will help you yourself.
I would say something exceedingly similar. Mine basically would be as as you walk out this door, as you enter the next level, as you commence. Commence commence means to begin, not to end.
Hmm.
You have been given all of these years of learning, and you must remember all of the persons that you were taught
Hmm.
about and talked about and how they endured their testing, that you too will be tested.
Right.
So go back and you pull up one of those stories or two of those stories
Hmm.
and remember what happened to Tabitha. Just remember what happened to the apostles and the disciples, and remember the covenants that God made, and know that if you stand on your faith, all will
Hmm.
be well. That you expect to be challenged, you expect to be tested, you expect to be put down, but know that down from man is not down from God. All will be well in the end. Just
Uh-huh.
go, just keep going forth. Just keep going forth.
And I think about when my son, my brother, they played against some of these so-called faith-based schools in football, or if they played whatever sports they played, but it was football with my family, and how some of those children out there cuss more than
Yes,
cuss them out. So, that's why I'm saying if you're going to a faith base, make sure you have faith and that your faith is for real. But
there's
many of them are not. And your faith is based on Jesus Christ and his righteousness. And that means God, because God is Jesus and the Holy Ghost. So I can't help it. That's just the way I am. If you say you're faith based, use that faith and take advantage of it, because you're going to need it, because you're going to commence from the high school, commencing on to your future. So take advantage of it, and while you can, because we don't know what's up the road for us. We're going to need everything. And while you have that faith base and you have that opportunity and you have the privilege of exercising your faith in one of those institutions, then take it and use it, because you're going to need it. Okay, so Dr. Mack, you want any more comments about that?
well, I was just going to say, putting a copy of the Ten Commandments up on the wall doesn't necessarily make it a faith-based school, nor does it make it a public school that we're going to put in Project 25 principal. But that's a totally different kind of thing that goes on. But as we do wish you well, all of you who are
Yes,
graduating. Oh,
everybody.
we applaud the parents and the grandparents and the aunties and the uncles, all of them that helped them get to this next step.
Yes.
They didn't get there by themselves. And by the way, don't remind them of that. Let them keep living, and they
Right.
will understand that
Right.
they didn't get there by themselves.
Right. Right. Wonderful, Dr. Mack. It comes from an educator. Text. Okay, this is what my classmate Mike Simpson sent to me, and it's from the Texas Report. He said, "Why? Okay, we know that the administration is trying to withdraw money, withhold money, take money from Harvard and these universities, and it's just wrong. So anyway, let me do this so people can understand. People who listen to us can understand what's going on. Why do we let foreign students come study here, and sometimes even help them pay for it?
Yeah.
And why do we give top universities federal money when they already have massive endowments? Two good questions, but both come with very teachable answers. So we're going to break it down. He said, let's break it down. Number one, international students. This isn't charity, it's investment. I like this piece. The U.S. doesn't subsidize foreign students out of pity. We recruit the best minds from around the globe, and many of them go on to build America's greatest companies, technologies, and institutions. Here's a short list of what that investment, quote, end quote, got us. Elon Musk, South Africa. That's where he came from.
Yeah.
Came to the US, attended Penn and Stanford with aid, founded Tesla and SpaceX. Over 140,000 US jobs and global dominance in EVs. Next, there's Sergey Brin from the Soviet Union, NSF Fellowship at Stanford, co founded Google, built a $2 trillion company that still pays billions in US taxes. Then there's Sundar Pichai, or it could be Pichai, from India, came to Stanford on scholarship, Wharton MBA, Siebel Scholarship, it could be Siebel, SIE. Okay, scholar. He's a Siebel scholar. Now CEO of Google, employing 150,000 plus people. And then that's Caitlin Kanko from Hungary, worked at Penn with NIH grants, co invented the mRNA vaccine tech behind Pfizer and Moderna, saved millions of lives thanks to US research. Then there's Apurva Mehta from India, came through US education system, founded Instacart, transformed gig economy and e-commerce. And then there's Fifi Li from China, Princeton and Stanford, AI pioneer and professor, built a foundation for U.S. leadership in AI ethics and tech. And the list goes on. Now, these are foreign people that are here. Uh, they're good for the United States and, help build the United States with all these jobs here. But the administration is trying to take money away, and he doesn't even know how the money got there. So this is an explanation. And the list goes on. Foreign students don't take anything. They bring talent, pay tuition, and often stay to build the future right here in the US. In 2021 alone, international students contributed $33.8 billion to our economy. Number two, Ivy League endowments and federal funding know the difference. But why are we giving money to universities like Harvard and Yale when they have great endowments? Here's the truth: endowments are not piles of loose cash.
No, they're not.
They're donor designated funds,
Right.
money given by alumni, philanthropists, and grateful families. People donate to the schools that gave them opportunity. That money is invested and restricted, often, let me see, earmarked for scholarships, faculty chairs, research, or campus upkeep. Federal funding isn't a handout either, it's a contract. The US government doesn't just toss cash at universities for fun, it pays them to do work, cutting edge research in medicine, national security, climate science, artificial intelligence, and engineering. If Harvard and Stanford has the most qualified labs or faculty, it, yeah, that's it. Faculty, yes. Now let me start that one over. If Harvard or Stanford has the most qualified labs or faculty, yeah. To do that, I'm putting here I go getting tied up on specifics, but I can't help it. To do the work, they get the grant. And in return, they have to do the work. It's no different than the government paying Lockheed Martin to build a fighter jet. You don't walk in and say, hey, you're rich, do it for free. Saying Harvard is rich, so it shouldn't get federal research grants is like saying, well, Donald Trump is rich, so why should we pay for our hotel room? That's not how contracts work. If someone performs a service, they get paid. Period. So here's the big picture. America leads the world because we've invested in ideas, education, and innovation, not because we hoard pennies and resent brains. When we cut off that investment, we don't just punish the schools, we handicap ourselves in the global race. So let's be smart, attract top talent, fund elite research, stay competitive, win the future. Because if we don't, other countries will.
Yeah.
And that's the end of that. Hey, I sound like what's the man's name that used to have a commentary at the end of his show? I cannot think of, oh man, him. But hey, I feel like him today. What is his name? Gosh,
Are you talking about Walter Cronkite?
not him. It's
Hu-
an oh,
Hunter? David Hunter?
not him. It's another man with
Oh,
the
Edward R. Murrow. And that's the way, yeah.
not him. There's another one. I
I
can't
don't
think of his name, but we'll think of it, and we'll make sure that we get it to everybody. But I wanted to share that, Dr. Mack,
thank you.
because it makes a lot of sense. People don't understand unless they get the correct information. And we know for a fact that these people stay here because they want to stay here and they invest in this country like the country invested in them. And so
Yeah.
I think this was a good piece.
It is, and we want to thank the person who sent it in to us again because that's important. Michael was his first name.
Mike,
Okay,
yeah,
thank you, Mike.
yes, yes. One of my classmates from Denison High School. So we thank you so much, and we know somebody's paying attention to us.
That,
And
that,
anyway, we thank you everybody for being here with us on this day. We've gone a few minutes over, but it's worth it to have the information that we need to have the truth. And that's what we do here. We try to give information that's going to help each of us from day to day, minute by minute, second by second. And we're not here to just degrade people and all of that. We're here, like Dr. Mack was saying, to tell the truth as we know it and to try to encourage people, but yet keep people informed of the things that are going on in this world. Dr.
well,
Mack?
we'd like to invite you on Wednesday at 1 p.m. to participate in the files of from the biblical files of Dr. Mack. We have moved over into the book of Hebrews, and we're going to be talking about Sarah as a woman, and then we're going to look at the as far as the black. We're going to look at the Egyptian wife of Joseph.
All right.
So we should have a good time there. And
Oh,
Pastor Shirley,
all right, tomorrow night at 7:39, which is Saturday. For those who might be looking at this on a different day, it's Saturday evenings at 7:39 p.m. Central Standard Time is the Greater Gospel Temple and Inspiration of God Ministries Saturday evening Bible lesson session. And on Sunday mornings at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time is Greater Gospel Temple and Inspiration of God Ministries Sunday morning manna from heaven. On Tuesdays and Thursdays at 1 p.m. is Point of View with Ms. Shirley Polk. And we invite you. And then, of course, on Fridays is the Mother's Board with Dr. Mack and M.E. Me. So we're so happy that you joined us today. And all we want to do is motivate, give information that is necessary to keep everybody as abreast of everything that's going on as we possibly can, and encourage each one to do research for themselves. And then the upside is that we know that many don't have time to do the research, so we do research for you. So you can contact us and through these sites. And if there's something you would like to talk about, just like Mike sent that to me, he messaged that to me, and I put it out here. And I'm really thankful that he did because we needed to know all of that about the universities
right.
because we know what's going on now with them trying to take money away from these universities. So anyway, we know that. So you can contact us, contact Dr. Mack and me. Dr. Mack, your email address is
Um, Lighthouse, WMAA at yahoo.com.
all right, and mine is either one. I don't know which one I have on here. I might have s.p_davis at yahoo.com. Okay, we love you, everybody. Thank you
God
so
bless
much for
you.
being here with us.
All right. Bye
Enjoy
bye.
enjoy your the rest of your time, whether it's night, morning, afternoon, midday, evening, whichever it is. We love you so much.